You're listening to the Fezcast, the Saracens fans podcast bringing you the independent and unhinged views of the voices in our heads, as well as those of our special guests. To get in touch with us, find the Fezcast on social media and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube and more. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Hello everybody, coming to you tonight after a totally thrilling game at Stonex on Saturday. A thrilling game, a thrilling occasion and brilliant weather. What more could you ask? And I'm joined here first by Alex. Did you and the family enjoy it as much as I did?
Yeah, it was great.
It really was, wasn't it? And I suspect all of you out there haven't got a clue what any of us who are normally on the show look like, but you'll definitely know what our next guest looks like because it's Nigel Eaton, who's always cropping up on the telly. How are you, Nige?
Tickety-boo, thank you very much.
I could see you from my vantage up in the East Stand down in at the Saracens scoring end with your cohorts, similar reprobates like you. And I want to congratulate you on trying to get some interesting songs going.
Yeah, one of my passions to try and get a song for each of the players. Some of them just come to me randomly. Some of them I talk to my cohorts and we come up with it collectively. But yeah, we get there.
What was the Marley Packer one?
It goes to the Queen, We Will Rock You. So it's Marley, Marley, Packer.
Yeah, that's it. I remember now. And it's good. It's good going with the drum beat. All power to your elbow. I mean, Sarah's, you know, it's all right when everybody gets behind it. But I think there are potentially a lot better things out there to chant.
Yeah, it all started down in Exeter. When we started scoring multiple points on them, I suddenly came up with the nice one, Sarah's, nice one, girls. Nice one, Sarah's, let's have another one.
Oh, that rhymes.
Yeah. So from there, it was like, let's get more going. I thought, well, let's get some for the actual players as well. Because with the boys, we have some boy songs as well, you know, Mariatoji, All I Want to Be with Jamie Jules, you know, that sort of thing. So let's do it for the ladies as well.
Well, you seem to be growing one by one because the reprobate corner, as I call it, seems to be growing a bit and you seem to be getting more of a chorus going. So I hope that continues.
Well, in John Travolta styles, I've got chills, I'm multiplying.
What a horrible thought, Nige. Before we get into the game, there's one thing that occurred to me. I don't know what you think about this, but the wonderfully named Hollywood was reffing the game, who not long ago was a Quins winger, and she could have ref today's game between Bristol and Gloucester. I think she had an okay game. There were times when, for instance, when we were marching their pack back at about 70 miles an hour and she gave the penalty against us and then marched us back 10 metres for dissent. Did it put a bit of pressure on her with background, refereeing a big game like that with one of her ex-teams in it?
Yeah, I think so. But I think she's also ref this match in previous years and things like the duel. So I think she was okay on the day and kind of remained as fair as she kind of could, and I think kind of put it out of her mind. I don't think she was too bad, but I think it's interesting that they did pick her considering that she's played for Harlequins.
It was unnecessary. As you say, she did have a fair game and gave decisions both ways, which is, you know, testament to her professionalism. Anyway, on to the game. It started off a little bit ominously, didn't it? Because within 2 minutes, Quins had been attacking all the time. And then the first time they went out wide to Claudia Pena, she put in one storming run with two really strong handoffs, and then she was over, Nige. Could you see it from your corner?
We could, and yeah, it was a wake-up call. Quins obviously came there with a game plan to hit us hard and fast. They knew they had to come out on the starting blocks because if they didn't start off strong, we would have had the upper hand. Fair play to Quins. They came out rightly and made it a great derby semi-final.
They certainly did. I mean, for 1 minute 30 at that point, we were putting in a really solid defence, but it was some run from Claudia Pena, wasn't it?
Teams seem to need that sometimes in games for them to score first. And then we responded like we do. That's something we need to look at for the final, is that we don't let them score first and we get the upper hand and try and take control right from the start.
The try that they did score was right in the corner, and it's still a feature of the women's game, isn't it? That getting near to the posts usually worth the points in the women's game, whereas scoring out wide tends not to be.
Yeah, I think that's something definitely Zoe Harrison has over other kickers. Yes, she didn't get some of the conversions yesterday, but generally she's quite good at one. I think we saw it in the Gloucester Bristol game today. It can make a real difference where you score. So I think that's something teams are quite aware of, and they try to score as close to the post as possible to kind of help whoever's taking the conversion try and get that.
Yeah, Bristol, I think most of their tries were scored wide, weren't they? And I'm not sure they got any conversion points. So was it Holly Aitchinson taking them and didn't convert them? Nigel, I had the impression from where I was sat that Quins had a height advantage in the pack, which made their lineouts, apart from the ones that they overthrew, pretty secure. Was my impression right? You could probably see better down from where you were.
They did have a pack, but we did challenge and we won most of our lineouts, and I think we actually disrupted some of theirs. So it's not always about height advantage, it's about technique as well. We've got some great line-out experts in our team.
And certainly when it came to the scrums, we didn't lack for power, did we?
No, and I think that's something that's going to be really important going into the final, because Gloucester, we have a really strong scrum, and just in general, their set piece is really good. So I think definitely the confidence we can bring from the scrum yesterday will be really important.
Yeah, definitely. So following that try, we really stepped up and put on a period of great pressure, didn't we? Including some brilliant carries from Poppy Clear, who was magnificent throughout the whole game. We really saw our game, didn't we, for a period, which was a very close passing after breaking the line. Always someone there right on the shoulder. And before we knew it, Alicia Corrigan was over in the corner, probably right under your nose, wasn't she, Nige?
It was indeed. And just going back to your earlier thing about with Quins taking the lead in the first half, they also did it in the second half and not taking the lead, but we had a lot of pressure. I think it was about 10, 15 minutes in the second half. But then Quins took the upper hand and got the first try in the second half. But again, that gave us that kick up the backside to get us back into it. So that's what we need to do for the final, is when we're in the half, is to actually come away with points.
Yeah, definitely. But going back to Poppy Cleal, she really reminded me of Billy Vunipola in his peak at times, because you had that size, you had that power, at times going through with about 4 people hanging off her neck, and then a little soft pass to a colleague at the side. She really was magnificent, wasn't she, Alex?
Yeah, and I think just on both sides of the ball, her defence was great as well, and kind of her assists and attack, and she just kind of seemed to be everywhere. And I think that really helped when you have those experienced players who can just kind of do the basics really well, and then everything else just kind of comes along with it.
She was probably really pleased because John Mitchell was in the crowd having a look, and she's got to have played herself into the World Cup, hasn't she, Nige?
You say Poppy reminds you of like Vunipola and everything, but Poppy's a powerhouse in herself. She's her own star. She isn't a Vunipola, she is Poppy Cleal, and players should aspire to what she does. And definitely, she's played herself into the World Cup. Same as Lou McMillan. Lou McMillan has been unlucky to miss out on a Scotland appearance. But last match, she played really well. Yesterday, she played really well. And I know in the final, if she gets selected, she'll be outstanding. So it's our gain, but it's Scotland's missed if they don't pick her.
Absolutely. Of course, Poppy is her own player, but my comparison to Billy Vunipola at his peak, I can't think for a number 8 there's a higher compliment than that. And what she does share in common with him is that soft pass after battering through. Ellie Kildunn scored a trademark try around about 15 minutes, which was, very well taken. And she had 1 or 2 good moments. But overall, I thought we negated the World Player of the Year pretty well.
Yeah, and I think her defence isn't kind of the best, and what she got World Player of the Year for her attack, for her tries, and I think that's well deserved. But I think something you can exploit if you can get past the rest of the Harlequins defensive line is exploiting her defence, because sometimes she's not great, and we did that on a number of occasions. But I definitely think Jess kind of won that battle of the fullbacks between her and Ellie.
When she did score a try, she got nicely clobbered by Rosie Gilligan, which was quite funny and upset a few Quins players. Always nice to see, Nige.
Is indeed. And I agree with Alec. I think Jess's try was better than Kildunn's by far. But also, world players need world players around them. It's a team of 15. It's a team of 23. You get that 1 star, great. But with Saracens, we've got 23 plus stars. And that's what I like about our Saracens ladies.
Yeah, but you're both right about that Jess Breach try. I mean, that was the champagne moment of the match, to see someone get the ball so deep and run through the entire team to score at the other end. It was thrilling.
Yeah, and I think, she's only a couple of games back from injury, and she's kind of erased any worries or concerns about her and just kind of gone, this is what I'm used to doing and this is what I'm going to do.
And then the Marley Packer try was very typical of her, wasn't it? Another powerful battering through, coming again at the end of a great passage of close passing and power from the rest of the team, Nigel.
Oh, the handling in that move was superb. Every player was on point. Every player was in their position. They've obviously listened to what the coaches have said, which gives that gap for Marley just to power over. And again, it could have been Marley, it could have been Poppy, it could have been May. We were singing a song about May scoring 500 tries and May scoring 500 more. It's what they do. When our ladies play on form, they create those chances.
Well, when the men are back, I hope that we can have an attack that was as good as the ladies were in the first half, because there were long passages of play when they were going forward and at the same time deft into passing. It was great to watch. It really was.
Yeah, and I think, some of our decision making was really smart, such as Zoe Harrison taking that penalty in the 5th minute. You don't often see that in the women's game. They tend to go to the corner and then kind of use the line out and go for the driving wall. So I think just getting us on the board and then getting Quins to give the ball back to us and then just launching another attack from that.
Yeah.
I think so. Some of the decision making was definitely kind of quite smart, and that helped us win.
Yeah, there was a lot of smart management during the game, and particularly at the end. We'll come on to that. It's the first live game that I've seen in quite a few weeks. The first game that I've seen where the new rules on the line out were really in play, because it was quite startling at times to see a deliberately not straight line out. There were a couple of times when the ref got it wrong and we did actually contest the ball and it still wasn't straight, but it's going to cause quite a few shocks for people when they come back to the men's game and see it, Nigel.
As a forward, line-outs was always my favourite, but as the laws changed, players and refs have to adapt. Trouble is, players adapt, I think, quicker than the refs.
I mean, it's definitely risky for the hooker, isn't it? Because some of the Quins throw-ins were really not straight, and it didn't matter because we didn't contest for them. But they must have made that sort of calculated judgment beforehand. Oh, this time I'm going to throw it to our side of the line quite a long way. Did it give you those feelings, Alex?
Yeah, and I think some of the early ones, maybe Hollywood got it wrong and they weren't straight and we contested. And then I think always we were like, well, what's the point of going up if they're going to not be straight? We can't get them and it's not going to be called out. So we're like, we may as well stay down and get set to defend them all. So I think that's something that the referees definitely have to look at going forward, is making sure they get that right. Because other teams just aren't going to contest because they don't see the point in doing so.
Yeah, there were a couple of times we definitely contested and should have got the scrum or whatever. After a very high quality first half, and both teams really quite disciplined as well, the second half was, certainly for the first half of the second half, was a bit scrappy, wasn't it? With a loss of discipline for both sides.
I think it's more of a game of chess, because both teams are out there. Quins wanted to come back and get back into the game. Obviously, us wanted to put points on it, but not concede points. So it seemed to me it was a bit of not a stalemate, but that like chess game where people were like feeling out each other. And it was that most important, the next score would make a difference. Unfortunately, against our pressure, Quins got that try. But I think Quins getting that try gave us that momentum to then go forward to see out the game.
Well, just before then, it looked like we had scored, didn't it? And Hollywood put her hand up, and it was the TMO who said that, who was it? It was Kelsey Clifford who dropped the ball over the line. I didn't see the replay. Did you, Alex? People around me were saying that it was definitely dropped, but I didn't see it.
I didn't at the game, but when I watched it back at home, yeah, it was clearly she dropped it forward. So I think that was the right call. And I'm glad we had TMO there, because there'll be games in the past when we won't have TMO, and those kind of things from both sides go unnoticed.
Yeah, I think it would have had, like you said, Nigel, I think if that try had been given, then Quins would have really been under pressure, wouldn't they? And it'd be interesting to see whether it would have galvanised them to come at us.
To be honest, I think if we'd scored, that had been given, we would have got the momentum. I think that would have dropped Quins' hearts, because Quins came out that second half wanting to give it all and wanting to get those points, and to then concede a try, I think that may have broke their hearts. Hey, it's great for TMO. It's a shame in the league that the TMO isn't available for every game to make it fair and balanced, because TMO does influence results. There'll be a game of, say, Exeter and Gloucester with TMO, and then Gloucester could be playing Harlequins and there'd be no TMO, and a same decision may be given with TMO and not given in the other game. So the league needs to have TMO in all games or no games.
I know what you're saying. The counterpoint to that, though, is that I quite enjoy seeing both under 20, under 18, whatever, and women's games without the TMO, because they move on quickly, don't they? In the men's Premiership, you get a lot of stoppages while certain rests more than others will go and look at the screen. But in a women's game without TMO, decision made, on you go.
Yeah, I'm talking about a balance for the league games, though, because, as I say, you either have TMO in all league games or no TMO.
Right.
Within the women's game at the moment, some have TMO, some don't. And that's not right. It should be all or nothing.
If that try had been given, it probably would have been a more comfortable end. But it came in that period that you were talking about earlier, when we would seem to be camped down their end and we just weren't scoring. And then, sure enough, a mistake from us, ball thrown out, in it came, and a really superb try from the Quins sub. I forget her name. And then there's 3 points in it. Was your heart going as quickly as mine was, Alex?
Yeah, I think definitely when they scored just after half time, I was kind of getting worried that they'd come back and kind of just obliterate us in the second half. And luckily that didn't happen. But yeah, definitely getting a bit nervous.
It made the day in the end as good as it was, didn't it? Because 60 minutes and we started playing our game again. There was, the powerful Saracens, the quick passing to girls on the shoulder, and then back with that 8-point cushion that was so important, Nige.
Always get a score ahead. And as we got into the 70th minute, it's like thinking, yep, we're getting there, and then the yellow card. And I know you're going to come to the yellow card.
Before then, it really felt like it had got comfortable, because what a brilliant break from Georgia Evans. And to give Ellie Kildan her due, I don't think there are many other people who would have caught her and brought her down, but it didn't make any difference, because, Zoe Harrison managed to play a great pass to May Campbell, and then over she went. And it was a great try, Alex.
Yeah, and I think it's unlucky that Georgia stopped just a few metres from the try line, because she could have got over right under the post. But I think, just kind of the quick reaction to the team to get up there and to provide the support so that Quins didn't turn the ball over is really important. We saw that all throughout the game, such as when Jess reached to a quick penalty, and kind of there was 2 or 3 players with her ready to go, and that kind of made a difference that we had that support throughout.
But then came our greatest period of indiscipline, and it seemed to mainly, I think we were getting a warning because we kept on grabbing, again, another new law to an extent, we kept on grabbing the number 9 out of the ruck. And I think it was for that Gabriella Senth got the yellow card, in that she was the person who did it after the whole team was given a warning, Nige.
And again, the new laws come in, the players have the responsibility to adapt the new laws, and as I said earlier, so do the referees. And it's again the referee conversations, the referee communicating, is the ball out, is the ball not out, and things like that. The 5-second rule, getting that consistency. If the referees have the consistency, then the players will understand the laws better, and that's what we need to get.
But I also think that we were looking very tired at that point, and you can understand it. It had been a pretty high velocity game, a very draining game. And I think there was a little bit of mental fatigue on show, Alex.
Yeah, and I don't think it helped that Gabby Senth was a replacement and then went off, because we kind of didn't have that fresh legs that she brought on. But I think we managed the period quite well. And actually the only time we kind of missed her really was in the scrum, and then Sophie Bridgman was fine. So I think we managed that period really well, and that will be good for us going forward to kind of have that practice.
Well, apart from one penalty cock-up by Zoe Harrison, we managed the last 5 minutes brilliantly. With that 8-point cushion, we just needed to hang on to the ball. And we seemed to do it exceptionally well, Nige.
I never like comparing the women to the men, because it's chalk and cheat. our defence in that last 7 minutes was reminiscent of Twickenham against Leicester. The ladies were solid. Nothing was going to get past them. And we held strong. Proud of them.
Oh, totally. As I say, the management of the game in that period was just as good as it could be, but both in hanging on to the ball and, as you say, in defence. And the clock ticked down and it just got better and better, Alex.
Yeah, and I think that was important because Quins needed 2 scores to get ahead of us. So it was just, even if they got the ball, kind of just holding on for as long as possible without giving it to them. So they wouldn't even if they scored, they wouldn't have that opportunity to go again.
That's why the 8 points was so important, wasn't it? That it was 8 and not 7. Just that little bit of security. If you're feeling, okay, 3 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go, they can't score twice. I'm assuming it gave the girls that bit of confidence to just keep battering away and make sure that they didn't get a sniff, Nige.
Indeed. And even towards the end when we had the penalty, I always love 10 kicking to the touch, getting ballsy, going for the 7 points. But at that stage, I'm thinking, Zoe, go for the 3, go for the 3. And she went for touch. I'm thinking, oh, no. And sadly, it sort of like missed touch and went dead. And I'm thinking, oh, is this going to be like something going to bite us in the bum? But again, all the girls pulled together, defended well, kept them out. And yeah, perfect finish.
Yeah, at times she had an uncharacteristically slightly off day kicking out of hand, didn't she? Because there was 2 penalties like that she put into the in-goal area. And funnily enough, Holly Aitchinson did it for Bristol. And there were a couple of other times when there was as near to you get in rugby as an own goal if she just kicked it out of hand past a Quins player, but it seemed to hit them. Anyway, that's something, a positive for the final, I think, because she can only be better kicking out of hand, Alex, than she did today.
Yeah, and I think all the kicks in this round have been not great, both off the tee and from hand. It just seems to have not been a great round, whether that's the pressure or whatever it was in both of the games. But I think definitely something to improve on for the final. Then hopefully that will get us the win.
Hope so.
I just want to say on the Zoe thing, every player has an off day. In hand, Zoe played well, kicking not so well, but it was an off day. Faz has had off days. Johnny Wilkins has had off days. O'Gara's had off days. Players have off days. Zoe's got that out of her way. So come the final, she's not going to have an off day. So I'm really happy the off day was on the semi.
Very good optimism there. To be fair to her, I think her kicking problems happened after she had that really big clatter, didn't she? And she looked like she was down and possibly going to be going off. So there might have been something painful in her back or her shoulder or something that made her kicking from hand not her usual incredibly high standards. But we'll see. As you say, she's going to be great in the final. We're going to have a quick break now.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
You are listening to the Fezcast, which is proudly sponsored by the Saracen Supporters Association, and I'm Alison Davis, one of the SSA committee. For a £10 annual subscription, the SSA provides our members with monthly newsletters, virtual and in-person player events, away match ticket allocations, and we organise pre-match gatherings at away matches. We sponsor men's and women's players, and we support the Saracens Foundation Track Club on behalf of our members. On top of all that, every year we have a seasonal SSA badge, which is exclusive to members. Where else can you get that much value for a tenner? Join now at membermojo.co.uk/SSA, or come and see us on match day in the Oasis at the Stonex.
This is the Fezcast.
So welcome back. Alex, I'm assuming you watched, as I think you said earlier, the Bristol-Gloucester game today, and a little bit ominous from Gloucester.
Yeah, and I think kind of Bristol started really well, and then it just seemed to fall apart with them with kind of missed passes and just kind of they couldn't seem to get on top of it once Gloucester started scoring, and then they just kind of ran away with them.
And I came in when Bristol were 2 tries up and 10-0 up. I thought, oh, this is interesting. We're going to be playing Bristol. But I think Gloucester then just did their Gloucester thing, didn't they, Nige?
Yeah, I thought on form, on league position, Gloucester should have won. On form, Bristol were got the momentum, and they showed that at the start. But Gloucester managed to see it out. It wasn't easy for them. And to me, neither team impressed me, and I think we can beat either. I'm not being cocky or blasé here, but I wasn't impressed with either team today.
When it comes to Saracens, is there ever anything you're pessimistic about, Nige?
Yeah, the queues for the toilet.
Well, that's always a difficult one. Very interesting that Ilona Mayer was taken off, Alex. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I think they've generally been taken off relatively. I think because she's come from that sevens background, she doesn't necessarily have the stamina to go for 70, 80 minutes each time. But I think, yeah, it's definitely interesting because she's one of the most influential players for them. They did a lot of changes early. So I don't know whether it's something in their game plan or whether they just wanted to kind of make changes because they felt they needed something to change in order to kind of get on the winning side.
There was one of the most amazing finishes I've ever seen by a Bristol player in the corner. I don't know her name, but looking at it live, I thought, was absolutely no way she hasn't been bundled out. And then sure enough, she'd put it down. Did you see that, Nige?
I did indeed, and in real time, I thought, yeah, she's just in. But I thought, I'm sure it's going to be given out in touch. And lo and behold, it wasn't. And yeah, and rightly so. And this is where TMO can make that, as I was saying earlier, TMO makes that decision of a try or not try. And if it's in every single game, it makes it balanced.
Yeah. So looking forward to the final. Have you two already got your tickets? You got yours, Alex?
Yeah, I've got mine.
Did you buy them before you knew we were there?
Yeah, I bought them ages ago and probably would have gone regardless.
I wouldn't. I've got to admit, I wouldn't have wanted to go and see Gloucester versus Quins, and went on the site today. And at the moment, the blocks E3 to E7, you can't buy a ticket there. You can only buy a ticket at the end. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow to see whether those blocks come on sale. But you'll be there at each end again, will you, Nige, with your hairy bunch?
Not with the hairy bunch because we're in different places. A lot of them have gone to hospitality. I got my ticket on the day that they were launched for the final. I won't be on the east stand side. I'm going to be on the west stand side, seating for a change, not standing. But I even went to the final last year. I go to the men's cup final at Twickenham. I do the women's. It's an end of season party. It's the two best teams are there. Great atmosphere. What's not to love? Our girls are there. So, yeah, even better.
And I've been hoping all season, that we would get the home semi-final and that we would get the final. It would have been such a shame to have the final at Stonex and not see Saracens there, wouldn't it, Alex?
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting because I don't know whether they'll get the home changing room. When they had the members thing, some of them were saying they don't know if they're going to get it because the home changing room generally goes to the team who finished higher in the table, and obviously Gloucester Heart really higher in there. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of react to, yes, it being at the Stonex, but it's not kind of being run by Saracens, it's being run by the PWR, and whether that kind of influences what they can use, what space they can use on leading up to match day, and how they kind of react to that.
The home changing rooms at the Stonex are palatial compared to the away ones, aren't they? So going back to your original point, Nigel, that'll get our girls wound up.
The girls are aware of it. I was chatting to them, not this week, but last week, the question that if Gloucester won and we win the semi-finals, what happens to the home changing rooms? And, never thought about it. And then the conversation went, it could be that, yeah, Gloucester would have the home changing room, we'd have the way, it could be the community changing rooms and things like that. But whatever happens, obviously now the girls aren't going to get the home changing room because Gloucester will say if the home changing rooms are open, they're going to have it. If not, then they will have probably the away changing room and our girls will have the community changing rooms. But I know our support staff and the management team of the women will make that, whatever change room they have, will make it feel as homely and as welcoming as a home changing room as they can. So it just needs all our fans coming down to Stonex on the 16th to cheer on our ladies, to make sure that the ladies feel it is a home game.
I was about to say that, and it's quite right. We've got this, what is now an annual sort of drought of Saracens rugby, especially if we don't get through, the men don't get through to the knockout stages of the Prem Cup. This weekend, no Six Nations, beautiful sunny day. So, it was just a great time to be down at the Stonex. And now we've got the opportunity in 2 weeks' time to have a final, which is just brilliant. And I really hope, I suspect everybody who's battled their way through this podcast to this point is definitely going to be there. But as you just did, Nige, it's an obligation for all of us to really sell this game, isn't it?
Yeah, we're a Sarries family. We always say together Sarries, a Saracens family, it's a weekend on a Sunday. Get down there, support the ladies. Let's pack it out. Let's make it black and red all over. There's going to be cherry and white there. They're going to be bringing busloads over. There's already been places reserved by Gloucester for their coaches. So don't waste time, guys. Get your tickets now. Get there for the 16th. Support our ladies, and let's get some silverware.
Quite right. We'll leave that there with your rousing words, Nigel, an instruction to everybody as to what they should be doing on March the 16th, which is quite right. A couple of other things cropped up during the week. Alex, did you try and were you able to get onto the club Zoom evening on Wednesday?
Yeah, we were at the end. It took a while to get there, but we did manage to do it.
There was a bit of panic going around, wasn't it? Because I think the email sent out by the club I think it was a seasonal members only night, I think, wasn't it? And the email link sent out didn't work. So I think they must have started off speaking to no one. But luckily, a lot of people who may or may not have included your mum, Alex, managed to get the proper link and put it around. So they managed to get a bit of an audience later on. A couple of things were interesting to me. Rob Webber, as the coaches usually are, was very, very upbeat. And very upbeat in particular about the Prem Cup. He was mentioning that 40 players were used, which is an incredible number, isn't it? And he was particularly saying that the Quins' performance was the result of a core group of players having played a number of games together. And certainly that was a great performance. I'm not sure whether the games leading up to that were so positive, but he was certainly positive about that one, wasn't he, Nigel?
Oh, indeed. When you look at the team sheet of what we had out, and again, not being disrespectful to the players on our team sheet for, the names, but when you look at Harlequin's team sheet with the experience that they've got to our team sheet with experience, Harlequins are far more experienced. I've said it for many years. We've got a fantastic academy, fantastic coaches from the top right the way down to the bottom, nurturing players coming through. And it proved it against Quins. We showed how good our academy is. And then on a side note, down in Gloucester, the under-18s played down there for the third, fourth playoff. And there is so much talent coming through there. There's a good 8-9 players that will probably feature in the Prem Cup next season.
Under-18s, 8 or 9 under-18s will be in the Prem Cup, you reckon?
I reckon next season, 8 or 9 under-18s from the Prem Cup, from Gloucester's final, the third, fourth playoff, will be playing in a Prem Cup, featuring in a squad for a Prem Cup next season.
They must be very well-developed young men.
Oh, they were fantastic. There's a young lad, Noah. He's on the wing. He is a phenomenal winger. He has got pace, he's got height, he's got speed. He came from nowhere and claimed a restart ball that you'd expect the forwards that were lifting up a guy to catch it. He suddenly leapt from nowhere and he took it out of his hands and went and scored. He's a phenomenal player. And there's other players in there as well. As I say, there's about 8 or 9 really good players. And it's all through the academy. So the Prem Cup against Harlequins showed how good our academy is, because Quins went out there to win that game with the team they put out, and our lads support their party.
Yeah, Maro Itoje has said at one point that when he was made captain, that the job at the moment for the first team is to keep things going, keep things competitive while this wave of young players comes through. So there's obviously a lot of optimism about that. And there's a rumour going around, I do hope it's true, that we're in prime position to re-sign Junior Kapoku, because he's one of those monsters. When he was playing for the under-18s, he was definitely the best-looking prospect of all the Kapoku brothers so far.
All 3 Kapoku brothers are good. They've all gone and done good things. They've all put in an honest shift. They've all left the pitch leaving nothing on it. So it's a great name.
I mean, I make no comment about who's right and who's wrong in this question of whether England players playing abroad should be able to play for England, because the only reason he's coming back to England is, encouragingly, that he wants to play for England, and that's why he wants to rejoin an English club, which, if it is us, I think will be a big signing. Alex, was there anything that you learned from the evening?
There's some interesting injury updates for Sophie Good and Paige Farries, that Paige Farries will be back in time for Pack 4 with Canada, and Sophie Good probably won't make it, will be time for World Cup. So it's good to see that they will have an opportunity to be involved in that World Cup. But that was kind of it, really.
You mentioned Sophie de Goody there, and she is a fantastic player. It's such a shame that she's been out all season, and it shows you, especially in this recent run over the last 2 months, how we've done without a really key player like her.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of testament to the team that we don't kind of revolve around one player. And you see that in the teams of the week where we've kind of won and not necessarily got loads of plays in there because it's based on stats, and it just shows how much of a team performance it is from Saracens, rather than kind of where other teams focus their kind of entire game plan around one or two standout players, and then the rest of the players maybe aren't so good.
And then we had the announcement of a warm-up game in Edinburgh. Will you be there, Nige?
I might be. I may have booked my ticket and my hotel and my transport. But I've made sure I'm back for the 16th. So it is possible, fans, that if you want to go to Edinburgh on the Friday, you can still get back to Stonex for the Sunday for the 16th to cheer on the women.
You sitting in a seat for a women's game and not being at a match, I think the universe would collapse at the shock of it if that was to happen. I just want to end on one note with the announcement during the week by Maro Itoje that we've got a worldwide icon coming to the showdown in the form of Cuppy. Now, Nige, what is your favourite Cuppy song?
I think maybe Chicken Noodle.
I've got to say that it didn't mean anything to me either. So I looked up on Spotify, and one of her most popular songs is called FKN Around. I'm assuming she won't be playing that one. Alex, it is perfectly all right that neither me or Nige know who she is, because it's aimed at getting a completely different demographic into the game than us. We'll be there anyway. But does Cuppy mean much to you?
No, it's definitely not my kind of genre music. I'm much more like kind of pop music, that kind of thing. So definitely, but I think there is definitely kind of a group of people young people that will appeal to, and it's kind of just getting that atmosphere and getting people to kind of play, or songs before the match or, at half time. And that's kind of really good that more clubs are starting to do that.
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely fine. As I said, if they can get a teenage crowd in because she's going to be there, then all power to their elbows. I shall be firmly still in the bar, but not paying attention at that point, but that's absolutely fine. So anyway, thanks very much, guys. It's been a great chat. And very much looking forward to hopefully bumping into you on the 16th. Let's get down there, everybody, and see you there.
Cheers.
Bye.
This is the Fezcast.